Hello everybody, this is soyachinchao.com and we are comparing two cheap and cheerful smartphones that are priced below 500 ringgit. On the left, we have the popular Huawei Honor 3C, while on the right is the incoming Xiaomi Redmi 1S. Both looks quite similar and they both support dual SIM cards. So let's talk about the specs. The Honor 3C gets a quad-core 1.3 GHz MediaTek processor with 2GB of RAM and 8GB of storage. The display is much bigger at 5 inch and has a HD 720p resolution, and the battery is bigger too at 2300 mAh capacity. The Honor 3C is priced at 499 ringgit. Next is the Xiaomi Redmi 1S. This is the upgraded version of the original Redmi that's sold in Singapore. Instead of a MediaTek processor, it uses a more proven quad-core 1.6 GHz Snapdragon 400 processor that's mated to 1GB of RAM and it gets 8GB of storage. The screen is smaller at 4.7 inches, but it pushes the same HD 720p resolution as the Honor 3C. The battery is smaller at 2000 mAh capacity. The Redmi 1S will be going on sale soon in Malaysia and is likely to be priced lower than the Honor 3C. So let's compare the dimensions of the two. Even with a bigger display and larger battery, the Honor 3C is actually lighter and thinner than the Redmi 1S. It weighs just 140 grams with a thickness of 9.2mm. As comparison, the Redmi 1S weighs in at 158 grams with a thickness of 9.9mm. In the hands, we prefer holding the Redmi 1S. It is more comfortable to hold despite its thicker dimensions. Whichever you pick, both devices are very practical for single-handed use, as they both place the volume rocker and power button conveniently on the right side. Looking at the back, both also comes with an 8MP rear camera with assisted flash. From our hands-on, the Redmi 1S is a better camera as it produces richer colors and is more snappier than the Honor 3C. For taking selfies, the Redmi 1S has better color saturation from its 1.6MP shooter, but its Honor 3C captures more detail as it gets a more upgraded 5MP front camera. In the Honor 3C, we didn't like the fact that the front capacitive buttons are not illuminated, which is quite hard to see in the dark. For the Redmi 1S, it is the same story as well, but at least the icons are more visible with its red outlines. The button arrangement is different on both devices, with the Honor 3C having the back button on the left while the menu button is located on the right. It is a total opposite on the Redmi 1S. Thankfully, both models have its own LED notification light, with the Honor 3C being located on the top, while the Redmi 1S is placed discreetly below the home icon. The notification light for the Redmi 1S is quite hard to notice, and we prefer the Honor 3C's implementation in this comparison. If you open the back cover, you'll find that both uses different SIM card sizes for each slot. The Honor 3C uses a newer micro SIM size, while the Redmi 1S still uses the regular mini SIM size. When the Redmi 1S goes on sale, Xiaomi will be providing SIM card adapters for the micro SIM cards. Another thing we like to point out is the micro SD card slots on both devices. The Honor 3C, being a MediaTek powered device, is limited at 32GB capacity, while the Redmi 1S, that's based on Qualcomm, is able to support up to 64GB. The micro SD slot on the Redmi 1S is placed separately, making it easy to replace the card without taking out the battery. Choosing which SIM to make phone calls or send SMS is pretty seamless for both devices. For data, just take note that the first SIM slot supports 3G, while the secondary slot is limited to just 2G speeds. Next is the operating system. The Honor 3C is still running on Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean with Emotion UI 2.0. It is quite a refreshing OS, and like the MIUI on the Redmi 1S, it doesn't have the traditional Android app drawer. What that means is that all your apps, shortcuts and widgets are placed on the home screen, making it easy to use for first-time users. With Emotion UI, there are a couple of gesture tricks like double tap to wake and sliding in from the edges to launch specific apps while the screen is still off. To optimize your phone usage, it gets its own phone manager, which helps you free up memory, space, power, and manage your data consumption. On the Redmi 1S, It is running on Xiaomi's very own MIUI version 5, which is running on top of Android 4.3 Jelly Bean, just like its high-end Mi 3 smartphone. Compared to Huawei's Emotion UI, the interface on this is much more refined, making the overall experience more aesthetically pleasing. It gets a couple of neat features like moving multiple apps simultaneously, and it has its own private messaging mode as well. Even the recent app function is pretty cool, where you can kill all running apps except for the ones that you've excluded. Just like the Honor 3C, it has its own phone optimization tools to help to keep your phone running in tip-top condition. This includes the ability to remove unwanted files, closing unnecessary apps, setting individual app permissions, and having better control over your Wi-Fi and 3G usage. For those who love to customize the look and feel of the phone, you'll be happy to know that the Redmi 1S comes with plenty of customizable themes, which can be easily discovered through their own theme store. You can find incredibly detailed themes to popular interfaces that mimic other smartphone makers. The Honor 3C lets you choose themes as well, but it doesn't have the online theme store like you find on the Redmi 1S. Being a low-price device, both devices are perfect smartphones for those who are upgrading from a feature phone. If you're planning to buy one for your parents or even grandparents, there's even a simplified UI, or some might call it senior citizen mode. Both phones have its own version where it gets a simplified interface with large fonts and icons, making it usable for older people without squinting their eyes. You also get to customize the icons by adding a contact on an individual app. On the Redmi 1S, they've even gotten rid of the notification bar so that there's less things to mess around. So which has the better performance between the two? After playing with both devices, the Redmi 1S is smoother despite having just 1 GB of RAM. When we ran Antutu benchmarks at maximum power and in airplane mode, the Redmi 1S scored over 21,000 points, while the Honor 3C settles for around 17,000. Playing games and videos on the Redmi 1S is much better than the Honor 3C. As we reported earlier, the Honor 3C struggles to play Instagram and even YouTube videos smoothly, and this isn't a problem on the Redmi 1S. Overall, these are two incredible value for money devices, and I feel like twice its price. If you have to choose between the two, we will go for the Redmi 1S, as it performs better with its Qualcomm processor, and we like its MIUI, which is such a joy to use. So this is just a quick comparison between the Honor 3C and the Redmi 1S. Thanks for the likes, thanks for the comments, and do subscribe to our channel. This is soyachinchao.com, and see you guys later.